Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tips and Bricks podcast, where we discuss all things Lego and share some of the community's best tips about those bricks we all love. My name is Alex, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm one of the hosts of our podcast. Today, I'm joined by my fellow host, Evan. Evan, what's up with you? What have you been up to over in the Lego world?
Hey, hey, Evan, pronouns he, him. The Lego world, I feel like we just got a lot of reveals within the last like 3 days. So I feel like that's been my main focus in the Lego world is being like, oh my God, all these new sets, so fun. Yay. We're excited to review them. Um, now that we're free. So, yay.
Indeed. What's been your favorite reveal that's come out
Ooh.
recently?
Oh, okay. I think the Ninjago, I'm not even a Ninjago collector. I literally don't have any Ninjago sets, but the packaging for like these, is it called like Ninjago Legacy or something? I don't know. They're like special Ninjago sets and they just look so beautiful. I've been so
They
impressed.
do.
Like they're
Yes,
sculptural
definitely.
and beautiful and
Yeah,
gorgeous.
really tapping into that 18 plus. They're like, we've got to make excellent box art to match it as well.
Totally, but
Definitely.
it's not even 18 plus. They're like 9 plus sets. And so
Oh
it's
yeah,
extra
yeah. I
impressive to
think
me that they look,
yeah, I just think they're 18 plus because they're so high quality
right?
and they put so much effort into them. But yeah, 9
Mm-hmm.
plus deserve them too.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Well, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to discussing some new sets later. But before we
Mm-hmm.
go any further, it's time to introduce our special guest, which is a very special friend of the Tips and Bricks team, a long-time member of the AFOL community. It's Dave Schefcik, who is currently known as the Nerd in Chief. He runs the incredible site Bricknerd, which publishes in-depth articles on mocks, techniques, sets, Lego news, and deep dives into practically every Lego topic. I think I first met Dave, I think it must have been at a fan media event quite a while ago. And I've known Dave ever since, been a great friend. So yeah, welcome to the podcast, Dave. How's everything with you?
It's going great. I am so happy to be here. I enjoy listening to the podcast, and I'm honored to be part of it.
Yay.
Amazing. Well, it's lovely to have you here.
Very excited to have you on, Dave. I think I also met you during a fan media event, I'm pretty sure. And like we also just like hit it off really well. And it's been nice seeing you at like all the Lego events, even in New York sometimes. We saw surprisingly we ran into each other
On the street.
on the street, which was amazing to go see Boop, which is now closed on Broadway, but it was great. So that was really fun.
I
Uh,
love that in a city of 7 million people, you can just run into someone you know.
Truly, it's
Yeah.
so cool. Well, Dave, since this is your first time on our podcast, and we're going to ask you our classic question that we ask our guests to just get to know you a little bit better. So, the Lego hobby can mean so many things from showing at conventions to building a set with a friend to mocking your own creations. And so, when you think of your own experience with the Lego hobby, what is your favorite part?
It's a good question. And I think my favorite part of the hobby is that Lego is essentially an international language.
Mm,
It can connect people across cultures, languages, interests. I can go anywhere in the world and I could find someone who's passionate about Lego and wants to connect and talk and build together. It can be completely different backgrounds, and we can still talk. And I think that storytelling, that sharing knowledge, even personal stories, that's what really keeps this hobby alive and thriving. It makes Lego feel bigger than just collecting and building sets, even if that's what you enjoy. So to me, that kind of international language of Lego is really what connects all of us. And I think that's what really should be celebrated.
what a beautiful way of saying that. I feel like a lot of the responses that we have are very like community oriented, but not in the way that you worded it, which I think is really beautiful. And I think that a lot of Lego is sharing your creations or sharing like sets you've built. And there is like kind of a language in that, like totally this like visual language of sorts and kind of like the literal language of like the techniques of it all.
Mhm.
And so that's a really cool answer.
Well, and I think that that community is created because of speaking that common language.
Hmm.
I just got back from a trip from Singapore and I met some Lego fans there who are different than Lego fans anywhere else in the world, but yet we were able to be excited about new set releases or the mods they've done to this set. And we're just being able to just enjoy the same experience, but on other sides of the world.
That's so cool. I love that. I love that. I'm
Yeah,
so excited
amazing answer.
to talk more about like our communities. I think this episode is going to be very community based, and so I love that you started off your answer to this first question with that. So that's exciting.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, without further ado, let's head on to our first segment of the episode.
Yeah, well, this week I'm going to host our question of the week, where we share a burning question about the Lego community that we're going to all answer together. So, Lego has exploded in popularity over the last 5 years, I think it's fair to say. And it has been really awesome, I think, to see how many people in our community are joining it and just having it grow so much. And I think what makes members of the community like you, Dave, even more special, maybe not more special, but like so special is that you have a pretty long-standing history with being an AFOL, an adult fan of Lego, and being a part of this community. And so, before I get exactly into the question of the week, I would love for you to tell us just a little bit about your own experience and history and involvement with both the Lego community and with the Lego group itself.
Sure. Um, I think like most people, I built with Lego as a kid. I loved creating worlds. I didn't have a lot of Legos, so I played with them over and over and rebuilt them. Actually just had a trip home and I brought some I found some of my earliest mocks
How
when I
old?
was like 11 and 12.
I
I
love
mean, I
that.
could show them to you for the people who are watching
They're
on the
still
video.
built?
Yeah, they're still built. You want to see
Go on,
one?
show us. Yeah,
All
please
right.
do. You come
Come on.
prepared. I
They're
love
still
it.
so dusty. I probably built this when I was like 9 or 10.
That's
You know,
cool. Wait, that's actually really
Yeah.
good.
yeah. So I must have had some of the old Blacktron sets. It's an old black. It's a Blacktron with all the trans neon and everything. But what I really loved as a kid, what and I've still loved, is architecture. And so this is all the old gray. Probably built this when I was like I don't know 10 or 11.
Wow.
But the thing I loved was storytelling. And so I would always, always include a hidden trap door or something somewhere. So I could do like tell stories with minifigures and things. And I wanted to figure out, oh, how could I hide it so you couldn't see it at all? So yeah,
It's
I
so
need to write,
clean.
I'm going to write an article about this one day when I have time. But now you can have the exclusive reveal of some of Dave's earliest mocks.
I'm
Amazing.
flabbergasted. I was not expecting that. That's so cool.
Yeah, he's
So
brought a receipt.
So, but sadly, when I went to college, I went to a dark age, right? All the Lego went into a box. I was reintroduced to it in my mid 20s when I was living in Seattle. And I used it as a way to relax after working in crisis communications. That's my real job. It's so satisfying to click bricks together or to sort or just follow instructions when your day to day is very chaotic. I find it very kind of cathartic. Um, and so from there, now that I had a little bit of extra income, things just started ballooning. I started collecting sets. Then I wanted to mod them. Then I looked for fellow people like me, and I joined a lug. That's a Sea Lug out in Seattle. And of course, the first few meetings are weird. You're like, who are all these people? And we're all talking about Lego. But then after a few meetings, you bring in some things to show off, or you start talking about these things, that international language, right? And then you see and are inspired by things that other people do, and then you just start having a great time. From there, I started mocking. I made a huge winter village that I took to a Lego convention for the first time. It's won a Best of Show an award, so I was excited to get involved with Lego conventions and meet people and see new things. That's where I met people like Wayne Hussey and Joe Menno and some of those people who established the fandom. From there, because I worked in communications, the Lego convention asked if I could help out with some of their communications. And so that involved me recruiting presenters for sessions or working with keynotes or working with their social media. And so I got to meet lots of people and hear their stories that way. From there, I joined the Brothers Brick as their news editor. And that's when I started really being able to share those stories with a broader audience rather than people just at the convention. And I got to meet a lot of awesome people at TBB and really um, being able to work with them as a um, registered Lego fan media. That's what introduced to me as Lego, not as a lifestyle, but more as the company side of things. And so then I attended, fan media days, and that got me connected with people who work there for a living. So that was really cool. And so that's kind of what led me up to the pandemic when Bricknerd really took off.
How did you shift from Brothers Brick to Bricknerd?
Sure. The Brothers Brick is very much Pacific Northwest in the United States. A lot of good people there. But in 2020, I moved with my husband to New York so he could start teaching. I'd lived here a little bit right after college and moved to Seattle. And so used that opportunity to leave Brothers Brick and relaunch Bricknerd. The site was originally founded by Tommy Williamson, but he wanted to move on, and I took the opportunity to kind of reinvent the site. A few of my friends and I in the Lego community had kind of bemoaned a little bit the state of Lego fan media, that there wasn't a lot of kind of community stories or stories about builders, more so than set news. And so I reached out to some of those friends, some of the best community builders and Lego builders, and we all kind of agreed we wanted to do this, and we all had a little bit more time on our hands because of the pandemic. Um, and we wanted a place that we could share all this knowledge that wasn't behind a paywall. It could help archive some of that history and make it accessible to everyone. That way you could have SEO and search articles that are a little bit easier to find. Um, and so that's kind of really what started Bricknerd. Well, the revamped Bricknerd was just a desire to share the community and some of the storytellings and preserve some of that history.
Uh,
Amazing. And
yeah, I love
how
it.
long have you been doing the revamped BrickNet for? How many years has it
Uh,
been?
we, we we started in 2021, so it has been 5 plus years. The site itself is 13 plus years old already. I can't believe we've been doing it this long already. Time
Amazing.
goes by so
Mhm.
fast. We all have a little bit less time because things get busy. Pandemic ended, but and since then I've started doing a few events with Lego certified professionals. Being part of the Lego Ambassador Network takes a lot of time and effort. I travel a lot for work, but that also means I can meet with Lego fans and go to Lego conventions and places I normally wouldn't. So yeah, along with Bricknerd, I still, collect sets, build mocks, and I think through it all, I've just really enjoyed getting the global perspective on what it means to be part of the Lego community.
That's awesome. I think that you are the literal perfect person to talk about this question of the week with. And it's something that when we first started this podcast, it was a question I kind of wanted to bring forth more originally, but we didn't quite have like the right guest for this yet. And I think you're literally the perfect person for this. So I'm very excited that our question of the week is, how has the Lego community changed from when you first joined the hobby until now? Because you have been a part of this community for at least what? How many years would you say?
Oh, 20 years?
Yeah, that's amazing. And so I think that all three of us, we joined the hobby at different points, but it's been a while for all of us. And so it'll be nice to have all our different relationships within the community and our different perspectives probably have similar answers, but I think we're going to differ at some points here. So, Dave, how has the Lego community changed from when you first joined the hobby until now?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
I mean, you could write a thesis paper on this. Um, I think there's a couple factors. The community is just so much bigger now. I mean, whether or not that's due to the pandemic or the Lego movie or Lego making amazing what they call passion point sets that are somebody's must have that really gets them ingrained in the hobby. It's just exploded. And it's interesting too because the community has shifted from being almost exclusively in person to being mostly online.
Hmm.
And that's great. It's easier to connect. You can share things worldwide. That's been able to increase the diversity of the hobby. You can see photographers, collectors, designers, train fans, people who only build for contests. Each of them all have their own little corner of the internet. And so there's communities for everything that you want. But with that, it also means there's no off switch. Everything moves faster now. You need instant access to everything. News travels fast. MOCs you build have a half-life online. Trends come and go so quickly now. Lego releases so many sets, it's impossible to keep up. I mean, there are people who make livings off of Lego now. Things like Studio have come around where you don't even need a collection to build, and it's much more accessible. But that hands-on approach is starting to fall by the wayside a little bit. Um, Personally, I think there's so much more pressure to kind of like perform and expectations. For me, each mock that I post online, I feel like is now part of my reputation. I feel like I'm judged by it a little bit. Hopefully not, but I feel like it. There's pressure there. I see people sharing less whips. Those are work in progress pictures of how they are building things or how they're going on. There's less sharing of kind of just experimentation and fun. Um, uh, Time right now is such a commodity that I only want to invest my time if I know it's going to be worth my while. So I'm going to do more planning. I'm not going to share things as much. The act of sharing a mock sometimes takes even more time and effort than building it now. You have to do photo editing and social posts, manage comments, and it's getting more expensive. You have to get lighting, cameras, editing software. Um, I think as a community, it's changed, and we all need to relax a little bit and just make the most of what we have. I mean, that perspective also goes for Lego too in terms of expectations. Look at the smart play sets. Everything has to be the next big thing rather than just an add-on that rather than just an add-on that can just enhance a set.
hmm
Expectations are so high. I mean,
hmm
even if they're self-imposed or from elsewhere, right? So I think that expectation is just it's sometimes overwhelming, and that's because of the shift to online. There's also a few changes because of that too. Many of the online communities have moved to kind of closed platforms like Discord,
Mm.
um, and we've kind of experienced this a little bit in regular life as well. Is that as Lego, we've moved beyond Lego monoculture. So there used to be singular chat forums like Eurobricks, or TBB used to be like the place to have everything showcased. Everyone could be part of the global Lego movement because they only needed to follow three sites. Um, Now it's so fractured and it's so focused on sub communities that don't really interact with other sub communities. So it's both wonderful that there are so many places to enter the hobby and find your people, but it's also sad because you may not come across other people in the community because of it. Um, so it's interesting. It's why I see platforms kind of like Bricknerd and Tips and Bricks is so critical, right? I see us as connecting the dots between those sub communities,
hmm
and that way we can share history and learnings. Train builders can learn from space builders. I can learn from Friends color theory just as much as I can learn from Ninjago storytelling lore. Um, so I think it's good about how the Lego community has changed. It's more accessible, but also with that, I think it's become a little bit more fractured as well.
Mm. I think this was all beautifully said. I think one of my favorite thing that you said is that we all just need to relax. I think it's so true. I think that goes with like literally everything nowadays, especially like what you were saying before, how time is a commodity, and I think that just being perpetually online, like a lot of people just are, it makes it feel like everyone else is just doing so much around you, and there is that like pressure to like keep up, or even if you're not keeping up, when you do decide to make your little entrance into that space, like it needs to mean something, when like truly like it doesn't really, it needs to be whatever you want it to be, and I think that you're right that I think that there is a lot of the Lego community now where it really can be wherever you want it to be because there are so many little niches and so many little pockets, but at the same time it is kind of fractured, like you said. So there I do see the positives and
I,
negatives about that.
I joke with a couple of my contributors saying, like, if you build a mock for yourself and you never post it online, did you actually ever build it?
That's
Right?
hilarious.
And
Yes, you do. I do
yes,
that all the time.
and that's why I love going to conventions and seeing things from different points of view. And I think also because of the availability of so much, you know, tips and techniques out there, their expectations to elevate your building when, sometimes some of the most fun stuff is just studs up and it just, speaks to the moment.
Yeah. Actually, you just made me think of this mock of the week post that I made like last year on a Scareback mock, and it was by this man named Dieter. I'm gonna pronounce his last name wrong. I think Dieter Giesk. Um, and no one knows where to find him. He has no online presence whatsoever. I think he comes to Scareback maybe once a year because people have like recognized his mocks before. But I just loved the fact that like I couldn't find any info on him beyond just his name and like a photo of him like with his mock that like we took of him at Scareback, and he's fine with that. You know what I mean? Like he's happy to be promoted and all. But what I loved is when we did post this, all the comments were like, "Oh, how nice it is that this man doesn't have an Instagram. He's so free." I was like,
Yeah.
"That's hilarious. He's just truly building for himself and having a good old time."
That's why I love uh, when people do like con coverage. I know Beyond the Brick does it quite a bit where they do walkthroughs and things.
Hmm.
Because there's really no living history of a lot of these shows where they just come and go. So I love the fact that people take pictures and post
Hmm.
galleries, and we have these walkthrough videos to try to help kind of preserve the feeling and what happened at these shows.
Totally, because like at the same time, like had we not posted this mock online, I don't think anyone beyond the people at Scareback would have seen it. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful mock, and that doesn't mean like it was we had to post it or else it was useless. You know what I mean? But like there is also a beauty in that too, to like have it shared with the broader Lego
Yep.
world.
I love when we feature a builder who's like never been talked to before. It's like, oh, this is my first interview, and they're so excited, and they, see that post and they share it with their friends because it's a form of validation as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I hope that we can just continue doing that and that people feel validated in whatever way they want to experience the hobby.
Totally. Alex, I'm gonna turn the question to you and say, what is it that you feel like has changed since you first started being in the hobby till now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think Dave, you brought up some really, really good points. I think kind of my reflection on the hobby is it's very much been dominated by social media. My first introduction really to the hobby was, I think it probably was looking at blogs like The Brothers Brick, and maybe seeing them kind of post to Facebook. And I remember seeing those amazing mocks, being inspired, but then kind of questioning, oh, well, how do I build them myself? I want to see more the behind the scenes. And that's really how Tips and Bricks kind of first sprang up. But it was really kind of Facebook maybe, and then I kind of discovered Flickr. And I think Flickr is such an interesting one because people used to post static images all the time of their mocks, and that was kind of the go-to place to see mocks. And then we've kind of seen a transition of it kind of still people use Flickr, but I think people use sites maybe like Instagram more, or you mentioned Discord to share more things. So I think for me, I find that really interesting, the shift of those online platforms, just because that's how I first got into the hobby. And I think those changing kind of expectations, the change of the pace, I found it really interesting what you said about kind of when people post stuff, they feel like they've got to post like their best work and all that pressure. And I guess Dave, what would your reflection be on that? Because I guess for Flickr, it was kind of always that way, but people did post a lot of work in progress pictures. But I
Hmm.
guess maybe people would post like full albums of pictures, right? Whereas Instagram's maybe only like 10 or maybe 20. And because of the algorithm, like you kind of had to post your best straight away. Like if you post multiple times, they might not get as much reach. Like there's so many different factors, right? But what would your reflection be on kind of the change from Flickr to now some of our more recent platforms?
It was more collaborative.
Mm.
Flickr, you could like tag individual pieces, parts
Yes,
of
and
a
ask
photo and say,
questions
"Oh,
or
I
say
love
what you
this, I
loved, right?
love that,"
Mm.
Yes,
and
I
so
love
you've
that.
separated that from the comments, which
Mm.
makes it a little bit more difficult. Also, the algorithm. Um,
Yeah.
I have bookmark lists of the Flickrs of builders that I enjoy, and I'll just see what they've posted every now and then because I want to control what I see. I love seeing new things that the algorithm deigns to show me, but I love being able to see the end product, but also all the work in progress. Or maybe you show something that you're working on along as you go. Show the work that goes into it, not just here's the final happy photo.
Definitely. And I would say the maybe three things for me that I think can be the remedy to like the pace and the pressure of social media is one, I definitely think, yeah, blogs like Bricknerd, which show the community and show the stories behind are so great at getting people involved. I think conventions can definitely be that as well. Like you can actually talk with people, understand the whole process that's gone into it. I guess conventions can be quite overwhelming for people. So if I had to like recommend one way of like getting involved with maybe less expectations is I think competitions or contests or building challenges. I prefer building challenges actually because then it's less
Hmm.
competitive. But I think those are really great ways that like you'd get a prompt for something to build. You'd build something, you can enter it into the contest. You can see what everyone else has done. But especially like how we try and run them at Tips and Bricks is we generally don't pick a winner. We just choose like a random winner and everyone can get involved and everyone's just appreciating each other's builds. There's like
That's
less
awesome.
expectations. So that's,
Hmm.
yeah, I would definitely encourage anyone who wants to get more back into building. I think, you can maybe, you might have so many different ideas out there, but you can just go for a prompt, build and post it. And especially if it's like posting to a hashtag or in a Discord channel, that's a really good way to get chatting with people.
And
And
we
if
should,
people want to find where there are lots of contests going on, Bricknerd, we actually post a monthly
Yes.
list of everything that's happening that
hmm
we can find. And it's a great way just to go and see what you're interested in.
yes, and I think Tips and Bricks is going to do a challenge pretty soon.
And we will most certainly
Yes.
post it then.
Yes. Amazing.
Amazing. What would you say, Evan, from your time? I guess,
Hmm.
how long would you say you've been in the community for, and how's it changed over time?
It's so weird because I feel like even though I've been like I was like a lurker for sure for a very long time, a very,
Yeah.
very long time. Like I've loved Lego and never really went through a dark ages loving Lego. And so since I want to say it's been probably like 15 years that I've been like pretty like hardcore online, just like looking at Lego. But it was really only joining Tips and Bricks that I really found myself being in the Lego community. Like I would be on the Brothers Brick and be on Euro Bricks a lot. Like 15 years ago. So I definitely feel you, Dave, that like it was so easy to get just like a full scope of what the Lego community looked like back then. Um, but I think that there's something really, really cool about where we're at right now because I could say, like, on a personal note, that my favorite thing about how the Lego community has changed is that I feel like it's grown in a way that Lego almost feels like, in a way, like, not as nerdy as it used to be. Is that crazy to say? Like,
It's cool now.
it's kind of cool. Like, is that crazy to say? Maybe I'm like really delusional here, but
I
I
mean,
feel like Lego is cool.
as someone who runs a site called Bricknerd,
Yeah, changes to brick cool. We're rebranding Bricknerd now. But seriously, like literally just I'm not even kidding. Literally like an hour ago, my like one of my closest friends, like we have like a group chat growing up, and my friend just like posted that he was like, "Oh, this is like what I'm spending my Sunday," and sent like a picture of like the One Piece Going Merry Lego set. And I don't think he's ever bought a Lego set before. He's like, this looks like fun. Like just I just ordered this. I was really drunk last night at 4 in the morning. I just went and got this. And I was like, amazing. And
Wow.
I was like, that's so cool. You know what I mean? That like Lego has kind of just become this thing that is broader than the hobby, where I feel like it used to be something where if you were not in the Lego hobby, like maybe you would get a Lego set, but probably not. But like now it really, I'm seeing all the time people that I know that would have never gotten a Lego set before get one. And I think that's my favorite thing is that how almost like
Mm.
normalized Lego has become and like ubiquitous in a way. And I do think that there's maybe some danger in that in terms of like competitors and like having Lego like be have this stronghold over like the brick building community. But also I think Lego for the most part does a pretty good job. You know what I mean? Like I think that they're a pretty small company overall. Um so I don't know, I've been seeing it mostly from that positive lens. Again, there are still like everything, lots of incels around, but that's just being online, you know what I mean? And so I think that like sometimes it's easy to get caught in like the negative people and the negative feedback and the negative feelings surrounding like online culture when in the end of the day that's just on being online in general, you know?
Yeah,
Mm.
And I think
Sure.
that the Lego community as a whole is so much better than so many communities out there.
I would agree with that. And there is just so much positive to celebrate with the Lego community right now. It's so much
Hmm.
easier than ever to find your people,
Hmm.
and that's just fantastic.
Totally. Totally, totally.
Amazing.
Yeah. Is there any like final thoughts on this? Because I really like the discussion we just had.
I feel like that's such a great end. I kind of was like thinking it's never been easy to get into the hobby, and that might mean that there's more expectations. But I think we've just got to try and find, things will always change. Like social media is always going to go up and down, but I definitely think if you can get to conventions or if you can just find like small groups to connect with, I think that's the best way to enjoy the hobby as much as possible.
Or
Hmm.
find your local lug. Meet
Yeah.
people in person too.
Totally, totally. Well, thank you guys for sharing your thoughts on the Lego community and how it's changed over time. I'm just really excited to just watch the AFOL community like continue to grow. I think that just it's so cool seeing how so many people are discovering creativity and play as something that really never stops fulfilling and fueling like joy. And yeah, I think that's just awesome. And so to continue that joy, let's play a game.
Yes. So it's now time to play some Make It, Mod It, Mock It. We're going to discuss three Lego sets, but there's a catch. We each have to place the sets in three separate categories of make, so a set we would build and keep as it is, mod, a set we would want to customize, upgrade, or modify in some way, or mock, a set we'd part out and use in another project completely. So we'll have to explain our rationale for each selection. We haven't done one of these in a while, actually. So today's sets are all themed around summer 2026 set releases. We've chosen three sets from three different themes, but they are all 18 plus sets that we think the AFOL community can be pretty hyped for. I definitely am very excited for them when they're going to release on June 1st. So, Evan, do you want to introduce us to the first set?
Yeah, sure. So the first set is set number 76354, Shield S.H.I.E.L.D. Helicarrier. I actually don't really know how to pronounce that so well. I'm not a huge like Marvel person. But the set is really cool, despite not being a huge Marvel person. The set is going to retail for $400 with 3,057 pieces, so not the most price per part. And one thing that is interesting about this set is that it is kind of a recreation of a previous existing set from, what was that set from? What was the older one from? What year? I
Oh, it
Oh,
should
was
have
a
I
written
long
feel
it
like
time
down.
ago.
long ago. I know
Hmm.
what you mean.
But
Yeah.
this one has 6 minifigures, and it looks like the ship that is in the Avengers. You know, it's like this giant like helipad of sorts that has like these little like propeller things that have it floating in the air. It's a giant landing pad essentially, and it's built in micro scale because if they were to build it in even remote minifigure scale, this thing would be bigger than most people's houses. And it does come though still with 6 minifigures. I believe all the Avengers, like the main ones. Is that true? Or am I lying?
Oh, Evan. This is going to be like one of those Darth Vader throne moments
Oh no
because
no no! I'm
have
such a
you
liar.
not?
I'll be honest. I should have looked before. It is not all the Avengers. I promise. I know what the Avengers are. I swear on my life. No, this comes with.
Oh,
I think this is true. It only comes with two Avengers, two of the main ones, being Captain America and Hawkeye, and then otherwise it's. I want to say I'm going to totally go off on a limb. It's Bucky.
yep.
I have no idea who that guy in the suit is.
So Nick Fury is like the head of Shield
No, Nick
and the
Fury. I know that's
Avengers.
the eye patch guy.
Yeah.
No no, but
Then
who's
the
the guy
guy
in
in
the
the
suit?
suit is Agent Coulson,
Oh,
who's like a
who's
Shield's
that?
agent from the first Avengers film.
And the
Who,
other one is the woman from How I Met Your Mother, the actress, right?
yes, or like Nick Fury is like second in command. Maria
Yeah.
Hill, I want to say.
Yeah, she's
Quite a
cool.
bit.
Um,
I like
Yes. Oh, that
her.
was a great description, Evan, considering you're not the biggest Marvel fan. Amazing. So that is our
Yeah,
first
that's that one.
set, the Shield's Helicarrier, releasing for $400. And now, Dave, can you tell us all about the Shrek set, which I'm personally very excited for?
Hmm.
Sure. That is set 72423 Shrek, Donkey, and Puss in Boots. Um, it is going to retail for around $130 with 1,400 pieces about. And it is a buildable figure of Shrek and Donkey, so very expressive. And it comes with one minifigure of a little Puss in Boots that you can put on their shoulder and kind of sized generally in proportionate to the other Shrek and Donkey. So it's
What?
fun to see another DreamWorks set. I quite like DreamWorks animation, so I'm glad that
I,
they're expanding out beyond Disney.
Wait,
Definitely.
Dave. In
Oh,
what
Evan
world
does not
is
agree.
well, in what world is this Puss in Boots scaled even remotely appropriately to the
I
doggy?
said close.
He's in puss like small puss form, like when he was a like a
Oh,
kitten.
like infants, like a baby
Yeah,
newborn.
yeah. Just,
It would, I
just
think it would have been too small to brick build him at that scale. And so I'd rather have
definitely.
the minifigure of him than none at all.
Yeah. Okay, right. Let's save the discussion until we get into the games,
Okay.
guys. Save the discussion. Okay, so our final set is Peanuts Snoopy's Doghouse. This is going to be available for $90 for 964 pieces and 0 minifigures. But what the set is the classic kind of red doghouse with Snoopy on top, and then what's the little yellow thing called?
Woodstock?
Woodstock. Okay, I would not have known that. I
Oh
have to
my
say, I'm
God.
not the biggest. I didn't really
I'm a little
grow up
offended.
with Peanuts, so I'm probably the worst person to be describing this set. I don't
Wait,
really have any.
really? You
Yeah.
never like read Charlie Brown? You never saw like Charlie Brown
No.
Halloween? Or the Great, do you know who the
No.
Great Pumpkin is?
No. I think
Wow.
my parents failed. No, I'm joking. They read me Harry Potter, and I'm sure they like
It
Hungry
could be a
Caterpillar was my
it could
bedtime
be a
story.
regional thing too.
Mm,
Could
it could
be,
be. Totally,
perhaps.
totally.
Although I know our contributor Shanzi loves peanuts, so who
True.
knows? It's probably just me um, being out for the loop. Anyways, those are our three sets. Really excited to talk about them. So what we have to do as a
Hmm.
reminder, we have to assign a make it, a mod it, and a mock it. So Dave, as you are our guest today, we're going to start with you. Um, what set do you want to choose first for your make it? What you're going to make?
I think to make it, I would go with the Shrek set. Um, it feels like a display piece. There are very particular pieces in it. Um, and it's, that passion point for people who love it. It feels kind of more significant as we're getting more DreamWorks based sets. And so I think that's something that really can stand on its own. And I think it would be harder. It'd be much more of a challenge to mod or to mock it than some of the other sets on this list. So I would definitely make it and display it.
Mhm. Yeah, this set's
Okay.
awesome. It's a really
Very,
good set.
yeah, definitely. So what would you do with this set, Evan?
So I really like this set, but I take such an issue with this Puss in Boots, which is like annoying. I hate to be the person that is gonna say this, and I almost don't even want to say it because I don't want to like perpetuate this. I don't want to even be like remotely known as someone that would say something like this, but I'm gonna say it because this is truly how I feel about this, where I really do feel like they should not have included the Puss in Boots minifigure, or if they were gonna include it, have it be like one of those like Disney villains VHS sets where it's like hidden within the build, you know? Because there's something about the scale. No, it's not something about the scale. The scale is wrong. It's really bothering to me. It looks like he's like
Mm,
so far in the distance, maybe, which I guess could be kind of cute, but that's just like not what it is. He's like literally like on their shoulder and like this tiny. It doesn't make
mm.
sense.
He is literally like Shrek's hand size. So in the films, like how big should he be? Like come up to Shrek's like waist, I guess.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
should come up definitely way taller than he is, especially compared to the size that Donkey is. Like, if anything, I think Donkey is even bigger than Donkey should be. Now
Mm.
that
I
I'm
think that's
looking
just
at it.
because you
Like,
need the space to like build them physically. But
Totally.
you,
But it's
you,
not,
you
that's not too off for me. It's like fine.
but Evan, you can just take that minifigure off the set.
No, totally. That's why I like don't want to like complain about it too much because that's like it's also like you're getting a cool minifigure. That's why I don't want to be this person. Um, but I do feel like I would love to mod this to remove some boots from it.
wow. So you're doing nothing apart from just taking up piss and beans. Evan, we can't count that as a mod. I know
I feel like that doesn't
we
count.
include all builders here, but that's not a mod.
Okay, that's so
I
fair.
think it's a mod.
Wait, the only
No,
reason
Dave.
why is because for me, there's such an obvious make for me and like my personal interests. I just think literally the moment I saw that Snoopy set, I am not someone, I don't think I've ever pre-ordered a set in my life, but I pre-ordered that Snoopy set specifically because I don't know if it's still like this, but on Amazon, when they released the pre-orders, they had it for $10 off on pre-order. And I was like, what the heck? I was like, you know what? I want this anyway. Just gonna order it. And so I'm very hyped for Snoopy. I think Snoopy is literally perfect. The little doghouse is adorable. Woodstock, put some respect on his name, is even cuter, honestly, with that new little piece, the new pieces, the little grass
Yes.
piece is sick. I do think the only thing about Snoopy that I will say is it's almost uses so many specialized pieces to the point where I'm like, is this even Lego anymore? You know?
Um,
I kind of have that. I'm starting to kind of feel that with like some sets that are coming
yeah.
out where I'm like, you're really pushing the bar of like all these specialized little curved
Mm.
organic pieces that's like,
Yeah.
it's not really feeling so Lego-y, but it's still so smooth and it looks so cool. I love Shrek, Donkey, and Puss in Boots, but yeah, I think that's gonna be my
Mm.
mod by
That's
Puss.
fair. And I think you make a very interesting point. I think it's a very fine line with new Lego pieces, right? Like I also really like the piece for Woodstock, the hair, and it's also used for grass, right? Which I think
Hmm.
looks great because there's no real. I guess you could maybe use like the Wolverine's claws, like that's been used
Hmm.
for grass in the past, right? But it'll be a bit harder to integrate seamlessly into the set. So I think that's
Hmm.
a good part. I know what you mean a bit about the curved pieces. I think there's a new Animal Crossing set coming, right? Which is
Hmm.
Timmy and Tommy, where they you just use so many different like curved pieces that it's like, oh, like Lego. I don't know. It's going away. I don't know. It's a very fine line. Very
Hmm.
fine
For
line.
sure.
It is a
Um,
fine line, but if Lego is an international language, all the new pieces are new vocabulary for us to use, right?
and that's
Totally.
And
why I love getting the new pieces. But I'm just
Hmm.
like sometimes, not that it's like a cheat, because I know the Lego designers
Hmm.
do everything they can to use the existing parts, right?
Totally.
And it does unlock new possibilities. I don't know. Oh,
I
it's a
can't
hard
wait
one.
to see the future NPU of those parts.
Totally. No, totally. It's definitely one of those like positives and negatives for me. Like
Yeah.
I think it's mostly positive, but there is just like that small part of me in the back that just like there really wasn't like any other solution here. Like but maybe there wasn't. So I don't know. And they look so good. They look so good. Like it's kind of crazy how many sculptural builds we've gotten in the last couple of years that are just downright incredible. Like almost all of them look amazing. Literally besides that Yoda.
Oh, okay. Well, moving swiftly onward from that then. Um, so, Evan, we've heard Snoopy is your mate,
Mhm.
Shrek is your mod, and Dave, your make is Shrek. I think I'm going to agree with you, Dave. I think mate for my make is Shrek. I do overall really love the shaping. I think it's so fun we're getting a Shrek Lego
Mhm.
set now. I know we'd seen quite a few on ideas, hadn't we? Which
Yeah.
were like Shrek's swamp. Well, I think I want to say Ash and Flash, is that correct?
Yeah, Ashton Flash hit like
Yes.
$10,000 or $10,000,
Yeah.
10,000 followers, 10,000 supporters in
Votes.
like 2 days.
Yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
mock was amazing. I was kind of shocked when it got rejected.
Yeah. So like part of me, because I love idea sets and I love creators being rewarded for that, part of me is like, oh, I would have loved a swamp as well and feel bad for
Hmm.
Ash and Flash, but I'm sure Lego have had this probably in the works for a while and trying to get DreamWorks sets, right? Especially with the new Shrek film coming. So can see why it's been done, but I agree with Dave. I think this will make a really great display piece. I can't really see myself using the parts for anything else if I was to mod
Hmm.
or to mock it. Okay,
Actually,
so
okay, wait, just
yeah,
one
go
thing
for
before we
it.
move away from Shrek. To make it a full mod, I'm going to remove Puss in Boots so that I can then build a mock with him about Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish, which is by far the best movie in the Shrek franchise. I cannot
It's
believe
a
I'm saying that
fantastic movie.
because Shrek 1 and 2, incredible movies, like top tier, 5 out of 5 stars. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is like a 6 out of 10. The movie's incredible. It has no reason going as hard as it does.
Sorry, 6 out of 10.
Oh, 6 out of 5, sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, 6 out of 10 is not great. Okay, there we go.
No, no,
Yeah,
11 out of 10, 12 out of 10, whatever.
yes. I just want us to get so many DreamWorks sets now. I think that'd be
Hmm.
so fun. Yeah, give
How to
us some
Train Your
more Puss in
Dragon.
Boots sets.
I
Yeah.
I want Kung Fu Panda.
Oh my God. Yes.
The world is our oyster now. Oh, I'm so
Hmm.
excited.
I can only wish.
I think it will happen.
Hmm.
There's got to be
Although
another
would
Kung Fu
Poe,
Panda movie sometime. Who
Kung
knows?
Fu Panda
yeah,
20, like it'll come by then we'll get
yeah.
it.
Do you think Poe would be like a regular minifigure, or do you think like the Baymax
Big
figure would
Fig.
be like the
It'd either
or
be
a
Big
big
Fig
fig,
or
really?
Brick Built.
Oh, a
Hmm.
sculpture. Sculptures would be good. Sculptures of the what's the like? Is it like Fantastic Five or whatever? Yeah, that would
Yes.
be really cool. I think that's the name.
Or the Ferocious Five? I forget.
Yeah. began with F. One of the
Yeah.
people can tell us in the comments, but yeah, we need that set as well. Amazing. Okay, so Dave, what set then would you mod if you're going to make Shrek?
I had no question about this in my mind. 100% Snoopy's Doghouse. I would mod it immediately to make the Red Baron flying version. I love set mods. We publish them all the time on Bricknerd. Instead of reviews, we do set mods all the time. I love seeing how people get creative and make sets their own. And so, you could build clouds. You can make it into into the plane. It's just that would be 100% the set that I would mod. I
Amazing.
hope
And
someone does because I don't
by
have the time.
Evan, yeah, by Evan's reaction, I assume that's exactly what you were going to do, Evan. And Evan is now crying from laughter. You're on mute for some reason, though.
Wait,
That's
wait.
such a
Oh
shame.
my
Oh,
God.
there we go. We can hear you. We
You
couldn't
can hear
hear
me
you dying
now?
in laughter, though. Yeah, your laptop
That's
must have.
good that you couldn't hear me dying laughter. Okay, we're gonna have to instant replay that because I got so excited that I don't think you two noticed, but I knocked the Lego set off the top of my shelf. It's
What?
now
I
on the
saw you
ground.
like dying, like slowly going off
I
the
was looking
screen. I didn't
down.
see you knock anything off.
Yes, it's on the floor. It's the actually it's
Oh, the
not.
cherry blossom or the yeah, plum
She
blossom.
died. Yeah, which is so unfortunate because it's one of those that has like all the little things in there that are now all over my floor. But yes, Dave, that is an incredible, incredible suggestion. I thought the same thing, honestly, when I first saw it, that I almost wish they had the option to make the Bloody Baron or the Red Baron, not the Bloody Baron. That's Harry Potter. The Red Baron.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. How would you go about doing that?
I mean, if the basis studs up, the wings are pretty easy. You figure out how to put Snoopy on the top and then make him, have the goggles and things. And then
Mm.
maybe you could put some, clouds in the background or have it kind of supported some way. I mean, I'm sure Tips and Bricks contributor Bethany could figure out how to motorize it and make it look cool, moving and things. There's so many
So
things you
cool.
could do.
Hmm.
You could have Woodstock
Definitely.
flying next to it.
One of my favorite
Uh,
things about the set and the product images is they have like the Snoopy yearning pose where he's literally just lying on his back staring dead into the sky and it's just like such a mood. I'm obsessed with it.
oh.
But
That is
yeah,
so funny that you both had the same idea. And actually, I also, even not knowing Snoopy that well, I was like, yeah, I think this would be such a fun one to mod. My idea was slightly different. Well, it was going to be because I just think there's such a cute combo of characters to have them doing some kind of scene together. Like, I think maybe going down like on a what's it called? I've seen it. I'm thinking of Calvin and Hobbes
in
and
the
our
wheelbarrow.
friend. I'm actually thinking like a snow scene when they're in a what's it called?
Mm.
Why have I just lost the word? On a
In the sled.
on a sled, yes, on
Hmm.
a sled. Isn't there like a famous scene? Or I'm pretty sure our friend
Yes.
Simon Liu has done like a
Hmm.
comic mock of Calvin and Hobbes on like a sled. So it just kind of the combination of those two characters reminds me of that as
Yeah.
well. So I think recreating like a fun scene with them would be really good.
Marcus Robler built a kind of a big life-size version of Calvin and Hobbes on the sled, and it was pretty awesome.
Hmm.
Yes, I'm sure we've probably featured that, or maybe Bricknerd
It
has,
was at
because that
Brickworld
is ringing the
last year.
bell.
Yeah, it was. There was a whole Calvin and Hobbes section, I think, that he made. Like he made a, was it him or was it a
I
team
think
of
it was a little
people?
tiny collab where lots of people did it.
It was a collab. Okay, okay, okay.
Amazing. So fun. Brilliant. Okay, so we're making good progress. So that means then, Dave, that the mock is the helicarrier. Can you talk us through why you've put this one against mock?
Um, I don't know if you know this, but Bricknerd has a long history with the Lego Hellcarrier. The
No, do
first
tell.
the first UCS one that came out, um, the Brothers Brick on April Fool's Day made a kind of a cardboard version of it, but you couldn't tell in the video, and they threw it off a roof to see if it would fly, right? And so
What?
they kind of did some fancy editing for April Fool's Day. In response, Tommy Williamson, who started a Brick Nerd, built the actual Lego version, and he chucked it off a balcony. And
No.
yes, and there's video online. You're more than welcome to splice it in here if you want.
Yeah,
Um, so if I were to get that set, I would do that again just to see if it could fly. I would chuck it off of a high place, and then I just add all the little pieces to my collection, and I can build whatever I wanted afterward.
Oh
that's
my
hilarious.
gosh. That's brilliant. I love that story. I'm definitely looking up that clip and we will include it if we can.
I'll
Do
send
you
you a
think
link.
any of the please do. Do you think any of the parts would snap? Because that is always my worry when people do the drop
Mm.
tests. I'm like, Oh, I'd be scared of parts snapping.
Might
I
get
mean,
scuffed.
probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
Oh,
gotta
I
break
I, I
something.
I would only really want to save the new corner cheese slopes. So
very true.
Do you
But
see them
as
in this
you,
build? The new
there
corner
are a
two
few in
stuff?
the bill, yeah.
Oh yeah? Oh.
yeah.
Hmm.
Even if parts are broken, though, we've done many posts on Tips and Bricks showing how to use broken parts. So even then, they have a good, perhaps
Mm.
even more use for mock posts. Like our contributor Rob brought
Hmm.
to Brickworld Chicago a repair shop where he had minifigures working on broken bricks and like fixing them. It was a very fun build. So
And
we
all the
definitely
brittle
encourage,
brown.
yeah, exactly. All the Bristol Brown, the dark red. So to our listeners, if you ever have a brick break, don't bin it. Keep it for a mock, and you might find a fun use for it.
I have a whole drawer over here somewhere of nothing but broken bricks that I want to use in a mock one day.
Amazing. So, Evan, this must also be your mock. Can you talk us through what you would mock with it?
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is one of the cases where it's kind of a dual thing where like I just really don't care about Marvel so much. And so whereas it's not even that, I just really love Shrek and I really love Snoopy. And so like those like they're gonna be parts of my collection at some point. Um this is a cool set, but it doesn't really move the needle for me. I do think, though, that because it is all within really just two colors, black and light bluish gray, that it actually does make for a decent parts pack. This besides the fact that the price per piece is kind of outrageous with it. I think that like you get a lot of nice tiles and slopes and wedges in gray, which for rock work could be really, really nice. I think that because they actually have a lot of those black pieces that are kind of built to be a road, if you're building a Lego city, actually there's a lot of parts to be building out like a road. Not that I don't really have a Lego city, but I'm sure for a lot of people, I'm sure there will be someone that actually uses these parts. And it looks like some of them might even be like printed with like the little dashes on them, which is great for city building. And so I actually think that this is a really decent parts pack.
Definitely, yeah. I thought the exact same. I think it's got some really great parts with those the grey slopes. I also thought what you did with the kind of markings, could it make like a nice city, like with the road? But I'm gonna
Hmm.
keep my mock entry Marvel theme because I would say that after Star Wars, Marvel is probably my favorite theme. Or at least it used to be, maybe
Mm.
it's transitioned more to ideas now. I used to be a big Marvel fan, especially like Infinity Endgame. I'm excited for Doomsday to come out, but I feel like everyone's been a little bit tired of the superhero films. But
Hmm.
there's one thing I would mock this into, and that is the Raft, which is a prison in in the MCU, which doesn't sound very glamorous, but it's got a cool design. It's like a kind of hexagonal design, and it like pops out of the ocean and like holds all of the most dangerous
It's kind of like the
supervillains.
Azkaban
Azkaban.
of
Yeah.
Yes,
Marvel writing.
exactly. There we go. To put it into terms that Evan understands, put it in
Yeah.
Evan's terms.
Oh,
Amazing.
that's a cool
Okay.
mock. Wait, you could
Yeah.
also totally mock this into Azkaban.
Yeah. You definitely could. There you go. There you go. Brilliant. Okay, well, I think we have our make it, mod it, mock it then. So we're all pretty much in agreement that the helicarrier is going to be mocked. Um, we were saying myself and Dave were going to mod the Snoopy, and Evan would mod Shrek just because of the Puss in Boots. And Evan would make the Snoopy because it's one of your favorites, one of the ones you pre-ordered. Myself and Dave would build Shrek. Any final thoughts on these sets? I know, Evan, you said Snoopy's the first one you're going to pick up. Dave, how about you? Is it going to be the Shrek set?
I am honestly on a hold for buying more Lego. There's so much Lego I want to build that's
Okay,
already in my
yeah.
collection that I'm trying to hold back on buying new things, especially with a couple bigger things on the horizon that I'm going to have to save my pennies for.
Very fair. Okay. Well, if you're listening at home, let us know which of the sets you would make mod and mock, and which of the sets you're going to be buying first. Thank you both for playing, and with that, let's move on to our final segment of the episode.
Yeah, so today we're going to do our custom conversations segment where we think about just all sorts of different things. Usually we have this segment be more so like tips and techniques oriented, but we've done some broader things like with tacos, we talked about teaching. And so with this segment today, we're also going to do something a little bit different. And I was thinking about all of our work in fan media with you, Dave, under Bricknerd, and with me and Alex in Tips and Bricks, and kind of calling back to our question of the week also, how all of us have been kind of part of this community and really ingrained in it for quite some time. And Tips and Bricks, I mean, we're almost turning around on a 10-year anniversary, which is pretty crazy. And Bricknerd, you've already passed, or have you already passed your 13-year anniversary? Or it's
Yeah,
at least,
it was in January.
oh my God, congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
People sometimes are confused because our mascot here, Nerdly, his birthday that we celebrate is in I think it's June or July 1st, and so
Mm,
we post about that more often than the anniversary of the site.
that makes sense. Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited also um for that anniversary too. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, he's a teen, if
Oh
you
my
can believe
God,
it.
is he gonna have a bar mitzvah?
He's gonna have a party for sure.
Yeah,
Maybe even a contest.
that's hilarious. Oh, that'd be cool. Um,
Evan, that's just made me think we need to start celebrating Tips and Bricks anniversary, our
oh my
mascot,
God.
right?
Yeah, we
Because you came
should.
up with Tipson.
I did devise Tipson.
Yes, you
That was a
did.
team
When was
effort, but
that? Like, it was a team effort. When was that? Was that 2 years ago?
that was definitely we're definitely coming up on the 2-year mark for
Okay.
Tipson. So
I'll have to celebrate his
yeah.
birthday. Amazing.
That's so funny. But I think that what's so great about like what our teams have been doing for so long is that what we publish, even though we've been doing it for so long, it still differs so much from so much of the other fan media. We get newer and newer and newer fan media, and no one seems to hit that niche that Tips and Bricks and Brick Nerd really hit. Which is very, I would say, article focused, very word image based, and a lot of the newer content is very personality and video based, given that a lot of it is derived from like kind of influencer style content, which of course all holds their own purpose and like greatness within the Lego community. But in this vein, I know that Tips and Bricks often gets comments about how our set reviews are less biased and more legitimate than some other fan media, which I've always thought was so interesting. And I kind of want to talk about why we think that people feel that way, how we can change like kind of this growing negative narrative around LAN that we were kind of like hinting on before, and ultimately what has made people engage with the content that we have produced for so long. And so I know that was a bit of a lengthy introduction, so I want to throw it to you, Dave, and start by talking about what drew you into making more blog-oriented content and what you think is the secret to creating content that makes readers engaged for over a decade.
Um, I think for me, it goes to what I've said before that we wanted to create a place where we could document and share the Lego community in a way that will still matter in the future.
Mm,
Um, for us, creating evergreen content that is accessible means that it's going to be valid as much today as it is going to be in 5 years from now. Um, a good example of that is some of our snot articles are some of our most read articles still, and those are almost 3 years old now.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a way of kind of delayed gratification versus, kind of that instant reaction. Um, I mean, do you want to see the new set announcements from today a year from now? Probably not. News has such a short lifespan, but kind of these stories that both of us tell, they stick a little bit longer. Um, a lot of the content I see today is built for the moment.
mm,
At Bricknerd, we say that we're building it for the long tail. We also wanted a platform where there was no barrier to entry. Um, so these articles can be archived. You can search them. You can find answers for. That way, it's more of a resource than just entertainment. Um, and when you read an article, it's a commitment. You are actually actively engaging rather than passively consuming. So I think that means that for us, I say quite a bit that we're a community over consumerism. We highlight the hobby and not the product. And I think for Bricknerd and maybe even for Tips and Bricks, we operate like a nonprofit. We aren't beholden to selling sets through affiliate links. Thanks to our amazing patrons who help us continue on doing what we're doing. Um, we don't have to be first. We can be thoughtful. We take our time. We rarely post on the same day as like a set embargo day where everyone is posting the same content. There's so much content in those kinds of days that it just kind of turns into noise, I find. And I think people would rather have a well thought out article from a really passionate contributor or guest contributor who loves the subject matter with, a really interesting take than something that's done quick. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not demeaning anything that other creators do. There is a market for it. People make livings off of it.
Mm-hmm.
People, are ravenous for that news in the moment, and it takes a lot of work too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's room for all different types of content out there.
Totally. I think what you said was kind of the perfect answer, honestly. Like, wrap it up. But it's like, it was really great where you're saying that you're so right, where a lot of the content that you see, especially we're talking about like Instagram a lot, like on these like newer platforms or these more popular platforms today, are ones that are very of the moment. And you're totally right that Bricknerd's articles are very long lasting. And I mean, the other day I pulled up a Bricknerd article for something I needed, and it was from like literally from like 6 or 7 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, and it's still in like the top of my SEO. You know what I mean? Like, you do a good job with that. And the article is just as relevant today as it was 7 years ago, and the fact that like I was able to find it 7 years later and the time that I needed it was so impactful, and I think that's incredible.
That's exactly the point. Um, there is a little bit of complication with that, with the new kind of AI focus of everything. We found
Mm,
our readership going down, but
really?
AI sweeping up our content like crazy because it's formatted, it's easy for it to get. And we talked about it as a team, and we're like, we're okay because we're a resource and we want that content to be used. We want it to be, you know, uploaded to the mass consciousness of Lego builders. And so we all agreed that even with the less clicks, the content has, more power than ever.
Hmm.
And so, we were okay with that.
That's actually so interesting. Did not even think about that. I would say Bricknerd more than maybe any other site out there, because even like the stuff that we post is, I mean, even though it's very word based, it's word on image, which I think is a little bit
Yeah.
harder for AI to pull, whereas your articles, or you can directly copy and paste it. And so that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Does that mean then that instead of maybe clicking on an article link, if someone types in a question, say like explain snot to me, people might just read like the AI summary, which uses Bricknerd rather than clicking on your link. Is that what you're saying?
1,000% yes. And then it lists it as a
Wow.
source in the bottom. So if
Mm.
you want the more in depth, you have to, click it. But if you just want that surface level kind of analysis, you just read that kind of a summary at the top. So
I know you said you operate as like the not-for-profit, of course, and Tips and Bricks does too.
yeah,
But it is interesting to think about that there are definitely creators, this is going on a bit of a tangent, that do definitely operate on the profit and need that to survive. And I feel like the AI overview, that if they have you as a source, that should like count as a hit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It should.
I,
Mm,
I wish it
I
would,
agree.
but also we're not motivated by numbers. I tell
Yeah,
people
that's fair.
that
That's fair.
if we write an article that 5 people read and it really helped them out, it was worth publishing.
Hmm.
That's why on Bricknerd, you never know what we're going to publish every day. It could be a story about an event, and the next day it's how to refresh all of your 9-volt trade motors.
Hmm.
If it doesn't apply to you, you can just scroll on for that day. But I love the variety of what we're publishing. But I think
Mm.
from your other question that you asked in terms of like the LAN and credibility and people who make a living off of this, I think LAN is a good program. I
Hmm.
think there are so many benefits to having that kind of internal connection with the company and building relationships. I've been able to create relationships with other fan media and really enjoy what they're doing and just see how many amazing people are in there. Um, but I think public expectations are different when it comes to kind of blog-based content that we do. And I do include tips and bricks in that, and like video and YouTube and TikTok. Bricknerd has over 50 contributors. That diversity of voice leads to a little bit, I think, more credibility earned over time. We actively look for different points of view to highlight. We actively look for contributors that have interesting backgrounds. I think many other fan creators, they're more one-person shows.
Hmm.
I can't even imagine what
Oh
it's
my
like to
God.
keep up with the deluge of all the Lego news just by yourself. I have I have so much respect for the creators that keep up with that.
Hmm.
But like you said, they're personality driven. Um, and I think as a blog platform, having many contributors, we're better together. Bricknerd in that sense is more of a platform for people to share stories rather than to promote a personality.
Totally. Totally, totally. Alex, what
It's a
do you think
great way
about
of
that?
putting it. Yeah. I think your question, Evan, really made me think about the kind of the landscape of fan media and how kind of the influences that have come in within the past, because of like the algorithm. And I agree completely with Dave. They do fantastic work. I couldn't imagine. I used to run Tips and Bricks by myself, and I definitely could not nowadays. Just do not have the time. It's so different. And I think almost, it's kind of shaped by maybe the media landscape we use. And there's still such a place for blogs like Bricknerd and Tips and Bricks, but it's just so much harder to monetize them for the reasons we've mentioned, like AI, right? So I wonder, kind of looking like 5 years into the future, how that landscape will continue to change. Like, will we see other blogs pop up, or will it be mostly influencers? I think it's such an interesting question, but I really value at the moment that we have that diversity, where we have those great, people keeping us up to date with the news, but we still also have the kind of in-depth articles that Brickner does and that the Tips and Bricks team create. I think it's great to have kind of both and everything within the ecosystem of the Lego community.
And I think it's something that other creators are dealing with right now. There's a little bit of kind of anti-land sentiment out there at the moment. I think a lot of it is economic because people see creators getting free sets. A lot of people are trying to get in the land and can't. And so I think that um, I think when it comes to reviews or early access offers, at Bricknerd, we actually don't like to call them reviews. Because we try to do something fun with them or go in depth or something. But saying no for creators to what Lego offers can be very powerful. If at Bricknerd, if we can't find a good story to tell with a set that's offered, we're not going to tell it and we turn it down. In terms of the general perception of LAN, I understand why people are skeptical. I mean,
Hmm.
anytime access is involved in free things, people are going to question your independence as a creator. Um, but like you said, Alex, I think that it's an opportunity as well for um, being able to be more genuine and maybe break out from some of those negative land stereotypes and tell more original stories. Highlight the community, the events around them, show them, like we're talking with Mock, show the process, maybe not just the end product. Um, publish stories that maybe aren't connected with new sets. And that can build credibility over time. And I think that maybe the only things that people see on their algorithms are the new sets and the reviews, and maybe not the other things that go into it in the community building. So, I mean, that isn't easy, as both of you know, and I know that it takes so much effort and so much time to find stories to tell, but it's genuine.
Hmm.
Um, it's that knowledge sharing, beyond just the products of the Lego group, and instead focusing on that international language of Lego.
Totally. And I think that because for I could speak on Tips and Bricks at least the last like couple years that I've been a part of it, that we have found what's really rewarding is a lot of the content that we do that's not review based, and that's often our best performing content. I'm pretty sure if you look at like our top like 20 performing posts of the last couple years, maybe three of them are set review related. Maybe a couple set reveals would be in there, but most of them are like really cool techniques or really incredible mocks and or like behind the scenes of like a designer discussion that we had on like maybe that is more set related, but it's a little bit more personal in that way. And so I think because we have more of like that holistic content, when we do like a traditional like set review, there's a little bit more background behind it because you have that knowledge of, okay, we're also doing all of this. And so now when we speak on this, there's all of these things in consideration there. And readers know that there's all those things in consideration, which I think it's helpful. I think that even though you don't read Bricknerd and see a singular person, though I often think of you, Dave. Though most people I feel like read Bricknerd or read Tips and Bricks and they don't like have like the image of someone in their head like they do a lot of like singular person content, of course. But I think that you still kind of get this idea and narrative and this feeling of maybe not necessarily an individual, but a voice, that feels very validated by all of the work that is being done.
I think what you're hitting at is kind of consistency,
Mm,
where you have a known style, you have, you know, the way you approach something, and it becomes comfortable if someone visits it repeatedly. And so your format, you know exactly what to expect. With the Bricknerd article, it has a specific tone. We don't try to eliminate people's personalities, but just provide the framework so, oh, this is a Bricknerd article. So I think
mhm.
that consistency really helps as well.
Totally.
Mm.
But I also want to say that like I really hope that people give grace to a lot of these newer land members that are really doing like right now what is very popular and this influencer driven content, like you said, is what is getting the most hits in the moment. And a lot of people like they when you do that type of work and you're one person, it takes basically a full-time job's level worth of time to do it. I mean, I'm thinking about what Jay does, where like I don't even know how Jay is posting at like all hours of the day. Like, and it's like mostly I'm pretty sure it's just him. He might have one other person that helps, but like it's mostly him. And I think that like what he is doing is so important, and what all these like everyone in land is doing is so important. And just because it's not exactly like what you like doesn't mean that it's not important because there are so many people enjoying content, so many people, like we were saying before, getting into Lego for the first time. And a lot of the reason they're getting into Lego for the first time is because these videos are popping off on the algorithm about these new sets, and like that's what's growing our community more. And like, yeah, maybe this person got that set for free, but also like, who cares at the end of the day? Like, they're putting in so much work and effort for it. And like, that's what they want to do. At the end of the day, we all just like love Lego. Let's just spread some love. Let's just give some grace, and let's just enjoy the fact that so many people are enjoying Lego.
There's always a silver lining, and I am so glad that the Lego community is expanding. Whether or
Hmm.
not you just build a set and leave it on display forever, or you want to, take off that Puss in Boots and mod this set.
Literally. And what's so cool too is like I'm thankful for all these people that are bringing in and exploding the algorithm. Like Tips and Bricks is generally not getting like 5 million views on our posts, but some of those people that are of the 5 million that will view that influencer content and get entrenched into the Lego community, then find Tips and Bricks, then find Bricknerd, and then they become glue, that really holds
Mm.
this community together. And so there needs to be some point of contact, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And also just recognize that like not all content is for everyone, you know what I mean?
It's also why I think fellow fan creators, we need to support each other too.
Hmm.
Every month we post an article pointing to what we think is the best content that everyone's made.
I love those
Um,
Bricknerd. I love those.
it's just a way to quickly see kind of all the cool stuff because we kind of edit out all this, all the set news and things, and so it's fun to kind of see that one-off video about the history of Galador or
Hmm.
these kind of topics that people might be more passionate about and made this quirky video. Cheesy Studios is great with that, finding an interesting story to tell.
Making
Um,
amazing mocks.
and so, just like, Bricknerd, we're better together. I think
Hmm.
that we have lots of different voices, different personalities, and I love meeting other fan creators and I love working with them. And I think that at the end of the day, even if you're making money on it or not, we're all here to essentially play with Lego and
Hmm.
just kind of celebrate that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I guess this is probably a good segue to say that if anyone is interested in writing an article for Bricknerd, Dave, you're always looking for more writers, correct?
That is definitely true. And I'm sure that if you're interested in working with Tips and Bricks, you're always interested in new passionate people as well. So I'd say pick your flavor and reach out, and we would love to hear from you.
Hmm.
Brilliant. Well, a great note to end on. Yes, we're going to be recruiting at Tips and Bricks very soon. We'll be putting out an application form. And I know, Dave, you always take emails from people if they want to get set up as new writers. So, yeah, if you'd like to either tell stories at Bricknerd or help us review mocks, review sets, talk about the hobby, reach out to us at Tips and Bricks.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for this great custom conversation around Lego, creating content for the community, and now we can wrap up today's episode.
So that is all we have time for on today's episode of the Tips and Bricks podcast. Thank you for being with us today. Dave, do you have any final thoughts or projects that you want to share with us?
I have a new mosaic coming out soon at
Yay!
Brick Chicago.
Yes.
So that's going to be fun. And
Any hints on what it
Yes,
is? Can you give
please.
us any
it's in the same
teasers?
it's in the same style as my quarter circle tile
Excellent.
mosaics. So
So
that one's
playing
going to
around with
be
colors and different shades and
it's playing
hues.
around with colors, and this one's going to make a little bit more of a statement. We
I,
shall
I
see.
think I I think you told me what this was last year, what you were planning to do. I think I know what this is, but I'm not gonna reveal it. I'm gonna ask you.
You'll have to go to Bricknerd Chicago to see it or check out some photos afterwards. Amazing.
Yeah. And then you can find me at bricknerd.com. You can look up Bricknerd on all the different socials. And if you're interested in writing, you can reach out to Dave at bricknerd.com. And we're really excited to hear from you.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for joining us today. And if you want to continue the conversation with myself, Evan, and the rest of the Tips and Bricks team, you can reach us on Instagram at Tips and Bricks or YouTube. We also have a private Discord where we can have daily conversations. And if you're interested in that, you can check out our Patreon as well. We're going to be recruiting for the team soon. So if you want to join a Lego community, come join Tips and Bricks.
Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. It helps other builders like you find us. And please like, subscribe, and share a comment on YouTube. And so until next time, I am Evan with Alex and our guest Dave signing off. Happy building, everyone.